it. A little pass, and he found it.
Oh, they've come to life there.
The last year under Paul Roos, Simon Goodwin having an increasing influence. Are they capable of making a substantial jump before the permanent change is made? The balance sheet on Melbourne, David King.
Yeah, some low numbers here, Jared. 8 wins, 4 wins, 2 wins. 4 wins, then back up to 7 last year. They've made drastic changes to the way they play in a bid to assist their scoring. Their list is rated 15th. A lot of youth on that list that hasn't been exposed. It's done over a 2-year period, so you have to take that into consideration. They've got a tough draw rated 4th. So that doesn't really marry up. The ins, Bug, Kennedy, Melksham, who won't play for them for the year, and Oliver as a drafted player.
Looks good.
Looks like a star in the making. The outs of Toumpas and Howe, I don't think will rock the boat too much. I mean, they weren't critical parts of what they did last year.
So just before we open this up, there's been a lot to like about Melbourne through the NAB Challenge, mostly under Simon Goodwin and a new style of play. In your mind, is there any risk of getting caught between two worlds in this season?
The bottom line for me is I'm not sure why they would hand the keys back to Roosie. Now, it doesn't mean he does a lesser job. If Simon's done the full pre-season of strategic training, which he has, and the players are thriving on what he's teaching them and what he's showing them, it's different to what Paul was doing. So they know Paul's philosophy. And I understand it's a brick-by-brick approach, and they're on to this next phase of ball movement now. But Simon's coached the last 3 weeks, and they've almost hit 100 points each time in a 20% shorter games through the NAB Challenge period. I just think it's time. I mean, it's not disastrous if it goes wrong for a month or so. Is it really? They could correct while Paul's still there, keep the ship nice and calm. I just think it's time for Goodwin to take control. And it's a 3-year caretaker period. We haven't seen this before, so there's no right or wrong. But it's such a strange situation and setup that maybe it's just time to say, Goody, over to you. You do match day. I'll be on the bench and I'll be there for support. If you need me, I'm on your right shoulder. And during the week, we can, sort out the culture of the club and how the club should function and everyone's role and be one-on-one with the players. But I just think match day now is Simon Goodwin's responsibility.
So 2 wins, 4 wins, 7 wins. JC, in your mind, can they mark any more time or is it time?
Well, I had them around 7 or 8 wins. And it's interesting because I've loved what I've seen from them in the NAB Challenge. They've got to continue to take the game on. It's been exciting to watch. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah. We were all asked to come up with catchphrases of what we thought would characterise the team. And for me, before the world's greatest plagiarist got it and used it against North Melbourne, it was put up or shut up for Melbourne because I am sick. You are a shocker. It was written on my paper. I'm sick of hearing about, they're a young team and we're developing and teaching them to do this, teaching them to do that. I want to see something from them now. And it's not the number of wins. It's the style of footy that I've seen in the NAB Challenge. I want to see that in the season proper.
What we do need then to complement that is a full season or pretty much as much as they possibly can, hopefully no injury comes in, with the host of stars, young stars that they've got in this lineup. Hogan, Viney, Brayshaw, possibly round 1 back. Tyson, Salem, Petraka coming back from a knee. Frost, Vince, Jones, McDonald down back, Garlett, Gawn, add in Kennedy and Bug. All of a sudden, Oliver's the other one, who's had a great NAB Challenge period as well. If you can get a collective 18 games out of that group together, I think all of a sudden they will jump up those extra few wins that we're starting to see.
Is this the way that we're seeing them attack the game just through the pre-season? Isn't this just the natural progression? Like for the last 3 years, I think they've had to get the contest right first. That was the main priority, and I think even Goodwin is a big on that, getting that contest right, and then they will eventually turn into the attacking side of the game.
It doesn't look like natural evolution. It looks like they've flicked a switch.
It's a radical change. This is a radical change. It's almost akin to what happened to the Bulldogs. Had the contest right, had everything in order. Yep. New coach came in and said, no, hang on, that's OK. Let's get this ball movement pattern right. And then all of a sudden it clicks. And I think that's pretty much what's happened. And that's why I'm concerned that you then flick the switch back the other way and confuse the message. I think it's a perfect
year for... And I just assumed it was going to happen this year, that Roosie was just going to sit next to Goodwin.
He may. We're not on the inner sanctum, but if it is the same message, the same principles, because they're doing it as a collective, then why change back?
The influence of Craig Jennings, potentially, he was the strategist, the analyst at the Bulldogs. He's a really smart guy, defend a certain way and then go and attack. And Bulldogs were able to benefit from the back of some of his analysis that he brought to the style that they'd like to play. And now Melbourne, you'd think, are starting to benefit maybe from this guy as well.
So Derm raised the issue with St Kilda as the long-term build. Do they have enough stars? He thinks they're right for soldiers. He doesn't know whether they're right for stars. In the lists that you've read out on the young players, do you think they've got the future stars in
I think,
there?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they've got the right mix of stars as well. Future stars in terms of positional, where there's a couple in the forward, there's a handful in the mid, and then there's a couple down back as well. And the biggest thing for me over this whole pre-season period was Tom McDonald's interview a couple of days ago. And he was asked, all he spoke about was, we feel like we belong. We believe we belong now in this. We believe we've got a good club, a building stronger club, which he hadn't seen in his 6 years prior. Belief is huge within a playing group, and Melbourne are starting to get that.
The other thing that they've shown to me in this NAB challenge, the way they're moving the footy, is the players actually are enjoying what they're doing. Not going through the hard grind of trying to be competitive, but they're going, hey, this works. How good is this when we move it quick and we get a bit of reward for what we're doing?
Really
and they go
from
ping,
the contest
and they go, this is what the other blokes have been doing for a few years. We want more of this.
What about the start to Jesse Hogan's career? When you look at his numbers against first years of the like types, Franklin's and Rewalt's, and both Rewalt's and Josh Kennedy, he blows them away with scoreboard impact. And I mean, you've been there, you've both been there. To see him do what he's doing so early must make you think, where can he go?
Well, he's the bloke you build a forward line around. I mean, he's a superstar. And we watched him on the weekend. He had a dirty day. But he still used his body and did a few things that created goals for his teammates because he's got that footy nous and he's also got a bit of grunt in him. Yeah. I love him. I'd love to have him in any team that I was starting to get a hold of. He'd be one of the first I'd
He actually does things when he uses his body one-on-one that takes most guys to their mid-20s of just practice to learn. Like he's doing that at, nearly 20, just banging blokes around.
The big number is he took 47 contested marks last year. He's comfortable with contact, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a man. And he plays man's football. He's not like a lot of the young blokes come in, take a while to get used to the physical nature of the game. He's all good.
Yeah, I know I wasn't the most reliable kick at goal at times, but when I was lying, I didn't have the ball facing this way at some stage I was running in, so someone down there in Melbourne just straighten that one up.
He wasn't a dreadful kick last year. He's got a couple of habits. He'll work it out.
So just define Melbourne. So you've got them as the big improver. Yeah, define that.
I think more just, it mightn't come as wins, but I still have them as 9 wins, and that's not going to get them finals football. I think they're a long way away. But 9's a brilliant year for them, I think. But it's like you said, it's the game style. It's the way they play and it's the excitement that they're going to bring week in and week out. That's where I think their improvement's going to come. We're not going to be calling them a basket case. We're not going to be laughing at them. We're going to be saying, how good is this?
I don't think they'll have any supporters at the MCG this year yelling over the race. I think that's the key. We won't see any of their cheer squad supporters with, head in hands at the end of the game.
Has Bernie Vince been one of the best pickups?
It's been terrific
in the last 10 years.
They probably needed him. Look at some of the numbers under Paul Roos over the last couple of seasons, 2014 to 2015. And I think the drastic jump is in scoring, and it had to change. I mean, 60 points a game in 2014 is subpar on any level. It's the worst scoring year that we've ever seen in the history of the game since the major rule change of on the full back in the 60s. Last year jumped up to 72 points, so they found two goals. I know NAB Cup is a false read, but they're close to 100, so say it's halfway. If they can get it to 85, 86 points...
Another couple of goals on top of last year.
A couple of goals on top of last year, that'll be a win.
So the final question is, if you're a dad who's son barracks for Melbourne, whose number are you going to put on his jumper by the end of the year? Who's the player to commit the
Max? It hasn't even been conversation. I'm still going Jesse Hogan.
Yep.
No, you've got to go Hogan, but just maybe the second son might get Mackie gone.
I'm a Viney fan. Put number 7 on your back.
If you want to be attached to a freak, Christian Petracca's the one. By all reports, he does everything that a Robbie Gray does, except he's taller. And I think that's exactly what you want to hear from these high selections.
I hope he gets the opportunity to show us.
We'll take that segue to move from Melbourne to Port Adelaide next. This time last year, it was all Port Adelaide. They missed. What's it to be in 2016?